There is a language spoken in this city that requires no words. It is a dialogue conducted over decades, a conversation between giants of glass and steel. It is the story of the New York City skyline. To the casual observer, it is a mere collection of buildings, a jagged, chaotic line against the horizon. But to the discerning eye, it is a palimpsest. Each tower is a sentence, each architectural style a new chapter written over the last. Our story is often told as a race for height, a simple contest of verticality, and it is that, of course. But that is the prose. The poetry is in the how and the why. It's in the evolution of the form itself. A YouTube algorithm, in its infinite and dispassionate wisdom, has suggested we explore this evolution. And who are we to argue with the zeitgeist? Before the sheer glass walls, before the minimalist boxes, there was this: the Cathedral of Commerce, the Woolworth Building, 1913. Cass Gilbert, its architect, was tasked not merely with building an office tower, but with creating a monument to the five-and-dime empire of Frank W. Woolworth. In this era, height was a novelty, a brute force achievement of the new steel frame technology. But the aesthetics were still rooted in the past. They looked to Europe, to the great cathedrals, for a visual language worthy of this new power. And so Gilbert draped his modern steel skeleton in the glorious robes of the Gothic. It was an act of translation. The soaring lines that once drew the eye towards God now drew it towards the apex of commercial might. It was ornate, it was unapologetically decorative, and it was a declaration. It said, we have the power and the money to build to the heavens, and we will make it beautiful in a way the old world understands. It was the skyscraper in its romantic, historicist youth. But the city itself began to speak back. The shadows cast by these new behemoths were plunging the streets into perpetual twilight. In 1916, the city passed a zoning resolution, a piece of legislation that would inadvertently become the single greatest influence on architectural form for the next 40 years. It mandated that as a building rose, it had to recede, to step back from the street to allow light and air to reach the ground. And from this simple, practical rule, the quintessential New York skyscraper silhouette was born. This is the city's great crescendo, the Art Deco period, the Jazz Age. Europe could keep its Gothic cathedrals. New York had found its own voice. Look at the Chrysler Building, William Van Allen's masterpiece. It is not merely a building, it is a celebration. A chrome-plated rocket ship, an automotive gargoyle, a sunburst of pure, unadulterated optimism. It tapers and sets back, not just because the law required it, but because it creates a sense of drama, of aspiration. And then its more stoic, impossibly grand rival, the Empire State Building. Shreve, Lamb, and Harmon. If the Chrysler is a flamboyant artist, the ESB is the silent king. It is the apotheosis of the setback form. Less decorative, yes, but its power comes from its sheer mass, its perfect proportions, its undeniable presence. For 40 years, it was not just a building, it was the building, the symbol of New York. The fact that it was largely empty for its first decade due to the Great Depression, well, that's a wonderfully New York kind of irony, isn't it? Building the world's tallest building at the precise moment the world could least afford it. After the Second World War, a sobriety settled over the city. The romance was over. A new philosophy, born in the Bauhaus and imported by European émigrés, took hold: the international style. Its high priest was Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, and this is his sermon. The Seagram Building, 1958. Less is more. Suddenly, ornament was a crime. The shape of the building was no longer dictated by setbacks, but by the purity of the form itself, the glass box. The structure wasn't hidden, it was expressed, celebrated in its own stark, rational way. The Seagram doesn't soar and taper like its Art Deco predecessors. It stands, a quiet, almost severe declaration of corporate modernism. And by setting it back from Park Avenue, creating a public plaza, Mies and his collaborator Philip Johnson changed the relationship between a private tower and the public street forever. For better or worse, this became the new vernacular. The form was copied, often poorly, across the globe, a testament to its profound, if sometimes cold, influence. And that brings us to the present, the age of the Supertall. What is the driving force today? Not a zoning law, not a romantic notion of commerce, not even a unifying philosophical movement. It is a confluence of engineering prowess and global capital. The skyscraper has become a product, an asset class. Consider 432 Park Avenue. It is the international style taken to its logical, perhaps absurd conclusion. A grid. A simple, relentless grid of enormous windows punched into a concrete frame, extruded to an almost comical height. It offers no apology, no ornament, no public gesture. It is a statement of wealth so profound it need not be loud, merely present. Its occupants are, for the most part, not New Yorkers in the traditional sense, but global citizens for whom this apartment is but one of several homes. It's less a building and more a safe deposit box with a view. Or its neighbor, Jean Nouvel's 53 West 53. Here, the form is more sculptural. The star-architect as artist, the exposed structure, the tapering, crystalline form. It's a dramatic, expressive object. It fights the tyranny of the box. But the purpose remains largely the same. It is a vessel for luxury, an iconic silhouette designed to attract a very specific, very wealthy clientele. The evolution has become one of branding. Is your brand the austere, minimalist grid, or the expressive, sculptural masterpiece? From Gothic cathedral to deco rocket to minimalist box to luxury needle. The skyline is our collective diary, written in steel and glass. It speaks of our technological triumphs, our economic fevers, our shifting tastes, and our enduring vanities. Each era gets the skyscrapers it deserves. The question that remains as we stare at this ever-changing monument is a simple one. What story will the next spire tell? And more importantly, for whom will it be written?